imperfections are created. Then on Design at 9, Room for Change lightens up a dark living room using colorful accessories. Design at 9 continues at 9:30 with HGTV's new series, Designing for the Sexes. Tonight, it's beige versus bold. At 10, 21st Century Home visits a Phoenix, Arizona home made from recycled items. Then at 10:30, Dream Builders talks with building professionals about the latest trends in construction. It's all tonight on HGTV, Home and Garden Television.
Hi, I'm Ron Hazelton, the house doctor. Well, welcome once again to the House Doctor, the show that helps you fix up your home or apartment. Now, on today's program, I'm going to show you some of the secrets the pros use to getting your windows squeaky clean. And we'll make a customized carving board. But first, if you've had trouble finding a frame for that unusually shaped picture, well, I have a solution. If you're having trouble finding just the right frame, well, you might want to make one yourself. Now, you can create a custom frame to go around mirrors, glass, artwork, or even use it as a door for custom cabinetry. What I want to show you right now are some frame building techniques. The frame that we're going to build is called a mitered frame. That's because there's a 45-degree miter or angle on both ends of each side. And the inside edge also has a rabbet or notch in it. Now, you may ask why? Well, that's because we're going to be framing something, and that notch or rabbet gives us a place to secure whatever it is that's going inside. We're going to be cutting this notch or rabbet using a router fitted with a rabbeting bit. Now, here's how this thing works. There's a small guide bearing right here on the bottom. That's going to run along the edge of the piece of wood right here, while the cutter is going to remove the material. Now, one problem you have when you're routing small pieces of stock like this is that you have to hold them in place. One way to do it is to have a skid-proof mat and simply lay the material on top. Or if you don't have one of those, you can make a holding jig like this. Now, we want this clamping jig to hold our work securely. But we want the clamps themselves to stay out of the way of the router. So what I've done is clamp one piece of wood or stock back here on the back edge of the bench, and then an end block right here. So that's going to support this end. Now I'm going to lay a straight edge, or in this case a level, right along here, place this end block into position, and then we'll clamp this using a second C-clamp. Okay, now, you see, the wood is held securely in place, but it can easily be removed, and I can drop another one in. That means if we're going to be doing multiple pieces, we can do these quite quickly. Okay, we're ready to route now. I'm going to be routing from my right to my left. The bit's in position here. Let's turn this on and make our rabbet. Now, to make accurate angled or mitered cuts, you'll need some kind of a miter box. This is the least expensive right here. It can be made of plastic or wood, and it has pre-cut slots to hold the saw at precisely the right angle. This is a little more expensive version over here. Actually, it has a carriage that'll swing 90 degrees with preset stops at 0, 15, 30, and 45 degrees. Now, this is a power miter box and makes very fast, accurate cuts in woods up to 2 inches thick. And it costs between $200 and $300. Now, to get the most out of this kind of a miter box, this is what we're going to be using today, especially when you're building frames, you'll want to create what I call a table or bed extension. This is simply several pieces of plywood that I've stacked one upon the other until the height of this is exactly the same height as the saw table. That's very important. Also, we want this fence on the saw to be flush with this fence that we've tacked on here. So we can use a level, just push this into position, make sure everything is straight, and then we'll clamp this to the bench. When you're building a frame, it's absolutely critical that the opposite sides be exactly the same length. If they're not, you'll end up with a frame that's either out of square or with miters that simply don't close up. Now, it's virtually impossible to measure, mark, and cut these and get an accurate cut each time. There'll be some small variation. So here's how we're going to do it. We'll begin by taking our stock and placing it on the bed of the saw. Then we'll take a small piece of wood, I'll call this a stop, and slide it right up against the end of that stock and secure this in place with a C-clamp. Okay? I notice when I built my table here, I put a small fence back here, and this is one of the reasons I want to have that, so I've got something to clamp that stop to. Now let's go ahead and make our first cut. Okay, there's our first miter. Now we're going to flip this over, put this cut end up against our stop, okay, and make our second cut. There. Now, no matter how many of these I have to cut, I know they're going to be exactly the same length because each one of them is going to be going up against the stop. Our miters look good, right on 45 degrees, so let's go ahead now and assemble our frame. Now, there are several ways you can do this, but this is one of my favorites. We'll take some glue. This is aliphatic resin glue or yellow wood glue, carpenter's glue, sometimes called that. White glue would be fine, and a brush. And we're going to liberally spread this on the end here of each miter. I'm going to coat both sides, this piece and the one adjacent to it, and then work our way all the way around the frame. Now that we've got these all glued, let's put them together kind of in a rectangle here, kind of align everything fairly closely. Now, this is what's known as a band clamp. It's actually, in this case, a nylon strap with sort of a buckle over here. We're going to place this around the outside of the frame. Then on each corner, we'll place one of these corner protectors, just like this. 2, and here's 3, and there's number 4, all right? Now, we're going to snug this up just a little bit by pushing this lever right here on the buckle. Going to pull everything into position. Make sure everything is down flat on the table, okay? Then, with this wrench right here, we'll begin to tighten this up. And as I do that, I'm going to be putting quite a bit of pressure on this band. Now, wood glue, like the kind we're using here, requires pressure. You've got to put those two pieces of wood firmly in contact with each other for that glue to really work. And as I tighten this up, I'm just going around here now and checking to make sure that nothing has slipped out of place, okay? I'll give it a few more turns. Well, everything came out nice and square, and that's really the product of cutting very accurate miters. Now, we'll need, a couple of hours, maybe a little bit longer for the glue to dry, and then we can remove the band clamp from here. But as you can see, we've got a really nice finished frame, a very basic frame. Now, there are several ways you could kind of dress this up. For one thing, you could take the router and put sort of a decorative bit in it and create sort of an OG pattern like this on the outside edge. Or maybe you'd like sort of a step and bead or round over, like this one right here. You can also paint, of course, and finish these any way you want. Or if you decide to use them, as I said, for a cabinet door, you simply drop a panel in the center, and voila, there you go. So, if there's a frame in your future and you can't find what you want on the store shelf, well, just make it yourself. Next, learn the fast, easy way to clean your windows. And later, making a personalized cutting board.
Have a question about caring for your exterior wood? Cuprinol has the answer. For example, how should you prepare your deck before staining or sealing? Unless your deck is new, you need to clean the surface. First, remove all loose material. Then apply a deck cleaner like Cuprinol Revive Liquid Deck Wash to the entire surface. Rinse, let it dry. Now you're ready to stain or seal. For more information on Cuprinol heavy-duty wood care products, call 1-800-424-5837 because Cuprinol has the answer.
This is Thursday, October 15th. If you use a fireplace during the wintertime, you need to make sure you're stocked up on wood before it gets much colder. Never store firewood up against your home, especially if you have wood siding or shingles. Termites and bugs love wood piles and will infest your home if the pile is near your house. The pile should be at least 30 feet away from your home.
You know, cleaning windows rates is one of the most unpopular household maintenance tasks. I mean, just think of all the jokes you've heard about, I don't do windows. Well, why is that? Well, probably because it's a very time-consuming, frustrating job. And often when you get finished, you're really not happy with the results. There's still spots and streaks on that glass. Well, let's find out right now just how the pros clean windows. Now, when it comes to a cleaning solution, most of us have used things like ammonia, vinegar, or a spray-on cleaner. But you'll never see a professional using these. They have their own window washing solutions, and as a matter of fact, you can buy these in a lot of home improvement centers these days. But you probably have something right in your kitchen that'll do the job just as well, and that's liquid dishwashing detergent. Now, when you think about the ads for this, what do they say? You talk about how this leaves your dishware and dinnerware without streaks and without spots, and that's exactly what we want in our glass. Now, when using this, you always want to add it to the water, not the other way around. If you put this in first and direct a high stream of water in here, you'll end up with too many suds. Now, how do you apply your cleaning solution? Do you use a cloth, a sponge, or a brush? Well, the pros don't use any of these. They use this tool right here. It's called a window scrubber. Now, it kind of looks like a paint roller, but of course it doesn't roll. And this outside sleeve comes off. It can be removed and washed when it gets dirty. Now, to load this up, you simply dip one end and then the other into the cleaning solution, and then take your hand and wring out the excess water. We want this wet, but not soaking. Then, using the end of the scrubber right here, we're going to place this right in the corner where the glass meets the frame and go all the way around the outside. That's because that's where a lot of dirt collects, right in that edge. Once we've done that, we simply turn the scrubber on its side, and then using a circular motion, we cover the entire window. Now, what's happening right here is the agitating motion from the scrubber itself is loosening the dirt from the surface of the glass, and the detergent or soap is holding it in suspension, actually kind of surrounding it in small bubbles, if you will, and then making it ready to be removed. When it comes to removing that dirty water, how many of us have used a rag or paper towels or even newspaper? But you'll never see the pros using this. They use a completely different technique and a different tool. They use a squeegee. Now, the idea behind a squeegee is that it actually cuts or shaves the water off in one single pass, and that's why it's so efficient and so quick. When you select one of these, you want to get one that's very good quality with a soft, supple rubber blade like this. It's got a very sharp, precisely cut edge. Generally speaking, this kind of a squeegee might work fine for your auto windshield, but it's not good enough for your windows. All right, now let me show you how to use this. Now, what I'm doing right here is what the pros call cutting an edge. Now, you'll notice I'm holding this squeegee up so that only this much of it is in contact with the window. And what I've created here is a dry strip of glass right down the left-hand side. Now, the trick or the secret to using a squeegee is to always put a dry squeegee on dry glass. This gives us some dry glass to start cleaning the window. So, next step is we place the squeegee in that dry strip starting at the top, and we bring it all the way across the window, left to right or right to left if you're left-handed. And then when we get to the end here, we stop, dry this off, place it back in that dry strip, and come across once again. And you see all the dirty water is running down this way, and we're stripping that window clean in one pass. Squeegees come in different widths. A 16-inch size like this is ideal for sliding glass doors or plate windows. Well, this 10 or 12-inch version works perfectly well for average-size windows. On paned windows like these, you'll want to use a smaller size, say 6 or 8 inches. Or you can create your own custom width by cutting this down with a hacksaw and then trimming the blade with a pair of scissors. On large windows like this, where you just simply can't reach the top from the ground, you'll want to use a combination of the two techniques we've just seen. First of all, on the upper section, use the vertical strokes with the squeegee. And then when you get down to an area where you can reach, you can remove the squeegee from the pole and finish off with horizontal strokes. The convenient thing about a scrubber and squeegee system is that you don't have to use a ladder to wash second-story or hard-to-reach windows. Instead, you simply put the scrubber on the end of an extension pole. These telescope out to as much as 16 or 20 feet. Then go ahead and wash the window as you normally would. Then remove the scrubber and put the squeegee on the end of the extension pole. Here, remove the cleaning solution from the window in vertical strokes, starting at the top and moving to the bottom. Remember to dry your squeegee after each pass, and avoid washing exterior windows on a hot day when they're in direct sunlight. The sun will dry the cleaning solution too quickly before you have a chance to clean it off. A good quality squeegee or scrubber costs between $10 and $15, depending on the size. And when you buy one of these, select one that has a replaceable blade. They only cost a couple of dollars, so get an extra one, because even a small nick in this rubber will leave a streak on the glass. Well, now you know how the pros do it. And the fact is, using these tools and techniques, you can clean a window even this size in less than a minute. Next, personalize your gift by making a custom-designed cutting board.
Cox Communications, one of the largest telecommunications companies in the United States, is looking for quality men and women to fill the position of customer care specialist right here in the Cleveland area. It's a great career opportunity for an energetic, customer and sales-oriented person who likes working where they live. Previous retail and/or customer service experience required. Cox is seeking outgoing team players who possess excellent verbal communications and organizational skills and are willing to learn. Work shifts available are Sunday through Thursday, 12:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., and Tuesday through Saturday, 12:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Cox has a comprehensive benefits package. Please forward your resume to the Human Resources Department or apply in person at 12221 Plaza Drive, Parma, Ohio, 44130. No phone calls, please. Cox Communications is an equal opportunity employer.
Protect the body. Ignite the soul. The new Volvo S80.
Every day, more people are choosing Lowe's Home Improvement Warehouse, and here's why. Do-it-yourselfers don't always have time to do it yourself. So Lowe's installation specialists can have your purchases installed for you. Things like carpeting, water heaters, garage doors, and openers, all by certified professional installers. You can even charge it on your Lowe's card. Ceiling fans, lighting, cabinets. You can get nearly everything installed but the kitchen sink. Actually, you can have that installed too. When it comes to home improvement, Lowe's knows.
Betty Crocker knows what chocolate lovers want. Desserts made with Hershey's cocoa. Because when it comes to real chocolate, Betty knows best.
Every battery says they're better. One thing's for sure. With Railback, you get long-lasting alkaline power for less money. If you don't think they're just as good, you get your money back. You heard it here first.
Have a question about caring for your exterior wood? Cuprinol has the answer. For example, how should you prepare your deck before staining or sealing? Unless your deck is new, you need to clean the surface. First, remove all loose material. Then apply a deck cleaner like Cuprinol Revive Liquid Deck Wash to the entire surface. Rinse, let it dry. Now you're ready to stain or seal. For more information on Cuprinol heavy-duty wood care products, call 1-800-424-5837 because Cuprinol has the answer.
Safer than any car we've ever built. As thrilling as any car anyone's ever built. The new Volvo S80.
If you enjoy woodworking and you like the idea of making gifts for friends and relatives, here's a technique for cutting shapes out of wood that'll save you a lot of time and give you nearly perfect results, whether it's for decorative accessories or for a cutting board like this. Now, to make these cutouts, you'll need some kind of a full-scale drawing. And one of the easiest ways to do this is to simply trace something out of a magazine and then enlarge it on a photocopy machine. Now, the key to getting consistent results when you're making a number of these is the use of a template. And today we're going to be using this 1/4-inch masonite as our template material. So the first thing I want to do is take some spray mounting adhesive, and we'll just spray the surface of this. Coat this nice and evenly. It doesn't have to be a real heavy coat. And then I'm going to mount our drawing right on the surface, on the front surface here. Try to get the bubbles out of here. Actually, just start from the edge and move it out like this. Works pretty well. There we go. Next, using a jigsaw, we'll cut out our pattern following that line that's drawn on the paper. There. Okay, there's our dog. Now, what we want to do now is peel off this paper, the paper pattern that we put on earlier. using a file, a rasp, or even sandpaper, we now want to clean up the edges of our template, making them as smooth as possible. To get a nice smooth finish on inside curves like this, wrap some sandpaper around a dowel. Now, smoothing out the edges on this template is where you want to spend all of your handwork, because any imperfections in this are going to be transferred to the copies later on. Now, let me just show you real quickly here how we're going to actually use this template to make these copies. Now, this is what's called a flush trimming router bit. Eventually, it'll be installed in the base of our router right here. But look very closely, and you'll see that this has got two cutting blades, one here and one over here on this side. And then on the bottom, there's this ball-bearing guide. Now, what's going to happen is that ball-bearing guide is going to run right along the edge of our template. So you can see if there were imperfections there, it would pick that up. Now, we've got one little problem here, and that is if I put this template directly onto a work surface like this, you see the ball bearing is going to drag on the top right here. So what I want to do is get this up off the surface a little bit, and to do that, I've simply taken a piece of scrap material and cut another design here, which is about a ½ inch smaller than our actual template or pattern. Okay, what we'll do is place this in the workmate, like so. Tighten her up here. I put that block of wood on the bottom so I had something to grip it with. And then this we will attach to the top. Now you see we've got our overhang, and we've got plenty of clearance for our ball bearing guide. Well, I've nailed this pattern or template down to that spacer block now with some small brads. This is the material that we're going to be using right here. This is called finish plywood. It's actually, if you take a look at the edge right here, it's very dense. There are about 10 layers right here. Quite stable, be really good for a cutting board like this. Now what I'm going to do is take this template back out, lay our stock down here, place the template on top of it, and draw an outline right here. Now, what I'm going to do is rough cut this. I'm going to take a coarse blade in the jigsaw. I'm going to cut about 1/4 inch outside this line. Don't have to be careful because all that material is going to be removed. It'll just make it a little bit easier on the router bit if we can remove some of this extra stock. Here's our rough cut blank. Now we're going to lay this on top of our pattern, but first I need a way to attach it so that it won't move around as we're cutting or routing. This is double stick carpet tape. Put a strip of this right down here. Like that, and then we'll take off the protective backing and cut it. There we go. Now we want to position our rough cut blank just so that it overhangs the template all the way around, just about like this. Well, as you can see, I put the router bit in the router, and we've set the depth of this so that our ball bearing guide right here will rub up against our template or pattern on the bottom side, okay? So I think we're ready to start cutting. I want to be sure that we move the blade away from the material when we turn it on. Okay. With the routing done, we just have to pop this loose from our pattern. Sometimes a putty knife under here helps, okay? And there we go. Now, if you don't like the idea of using plywood for this, you can certainly use solid wood. Birch or maple would be good choices. The only thing is you're probably going to have to glue up 2 or 3 boards in order to get the proper width. But the point is here, if you want to make several of these, 5, 10, or 20, once you get set up like this, you can really knock them out in just a snap. Enough for practically everybody on your gift list. And by the way, if this happens to resemble my dog Woody, it's because that's who it is. When cutting curves like this with a bandsaw or a jigsaw, the blade can sometimes get bound up and even burn in real tight curves like this. Now, generally speaking, the narrower the blade, the tighter the curves you can cut. Now, this 1/4 inch blade, for example, right here, this bandsaw, should have no trouble cutting this gradual curve on the outside of this shape. Now, when we get down here where this curve is tightening up, we could have a problem with the blade binding. What we can do is kind of veer off the line into sort of a tangent like this, go all the way to the outside, and come back and resume our cut. Each time, making the sharpest curve we can, but when the blade starts to feel a little bit stiff, we just veer off like this until we work our way all the way around the tighter curve. Now, on a tight inside curve like this, we can relieve the stress on the blade by making a series of what are called relief cuts. These are short cuts that come right up to the line, but don't quite touch it. And the tighter the curve, the closer together you can make these. Let's put about 3 in right here. Okay, now we can come back and cut this inside curve. As we come to each one of those little relief cuts, the piece of wood will sort of pop out. That gives us room to maneuver the blade in position and continue on cutting around the curve. When it comes to cutting an extremely tight inside curve like this, make your relief cuts and then begin by cutting one side of the curve and finish by cutting the other. Well, there you go. So if one of your woodworking projects throws you a curve, well, now you got a way around it.
Here's a quick look behind the scenes of HGTV's new fast-action, fast-paced show, The Fix.
We are rolling, and action!
Remember that project that you did that you thought was going to be so tough?
Well, it turned out to be very easy.
And how good you felt?
You definitely have the power to do this.
Looks fantastic. Yes.
We're dealing with a lot of power here.
The ideas.
The solutions.
The tools.
The Fix.
9 Eastern on HGTV weekend mornings.
For my everyday paint colors and combinations, I didn't just pick the colors. I picked the colors that go with the colors you pick, and they're available at Sears and Kmart.
You had no limits other than your imagination when you created the look for your home's landscaping. Why be limited now when choosing casual garden furniture? Most casual furniture brands limit you with 1 or 2 styles, but U.S. Leisure and Sun Terrace liberate you with a large variety of trend-setting looks. For casual furniture, choose U.S. Leisure and Sun Terrace. Fine products with one thing in common: affordability. So affordable, you'll want to stack up. Stock up. U.S. Leisure and Sun Terrace.
Some people say I'm tough, and I admit I am pretty tough. On my kitchen, I demand performance, quality, and value. And my Aristocrat kitchen fits the bill. Good-looking specialty cabinets and convenient accessories that can stand up to the toughest workout. And now you can take advantage of special Aristocrat savings happening right now.
For free literature and the dealer nearest you, call 1-800-400-4265.
A kitchen is no place for wimps.
Spreads like buttercream, covers like royal icing. My everyday paint colors and combinations make decorating a piece of cake, and they're available at Sears and at Kmart.
The 1998 VH1 Fashion Awards featuring Courtney Cox, Rupert Everett, Salma Hayek, Anne Hayes, Sheila McDermott, Claudia Schiffer, Wesley Snipes, Michael Stipe, and more. With live performances by Janet Jackson, Leonard Kravitz, Madonna, Smashing Pumpkins. Hosted by Ellen DeGeneres. The 1998 VH1 Fashion Awards. Tonight's music and fashion blow you away. Tuesday, October 27th at 9, 8 Central.
Brought to you in part by Naked Furniture in Middleburg Heights.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Downey, president of Ambiance, the store for lovers. Ambiance is an erotic boutique dedicated to helping loving couples like you make their intimate relationship more exciting. From lingerie to lotions, from romantic games to remote control marital aids, Ambiance, the store for lovers has everything you could imagine to spice up your love life. This sweet as say, make it an Ambiance night.
Well, thanks for watching. Now it's your turn to get out there, roll up your sleeves, and tackle some of those projects that you may have been putting off. And please join me next time when I'll have lots more tips and suggestions to make your next home improvement job just a little bit easier. See you then.
Saddle up your sawhorses and head on over to This Old House Classics. There's all kinds of work still ahead, and we could use a few more helping hands tonight at 7 Eastern here on HGTV.